name is Emily Elizondo and I am writing about George Washington. George Washington was the first president of the United States. George Washington was born on February 22nd, 1732 in Virginia. His parents were Augustine and Mary Washington. George grew up on a plantation in Virginia. He had 7 brothers and sisters. After the Revolution, he was elected as the first president of the United States. As the first president, he was responsible for a lot of decisions about how presidents should act and what they should do. George Washington is sometimes called the father of his country. His birthday is celebrated in February. The Washington Monument was built to honor him, and his face is carved in Mount Rushmore. Washington, D.C. and Washington State are named after him. His picture is on the dollar bill and the quarter. Thank you.
Hi, I am Michael Reese, and I'm going to talk about John Adams, the second president. Adams was born in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1735. A Harvard-educated lawyer, he early became injustified with the Patriots. When Adams became president, the war between the French and British was causing great difficulties for the United States. President Adams did not call off declaration of war, but hostilities began at sea. At first, American shipping was almost defenseless against French privateers, but by 1800s, Magellan and U.S. warships were clearing the sea lands.
My name is Sergio Benavente. Thomas Jefferson was third president of United States of America. He served 1801 through 1809. He died on January 4th in his home in 1826.
My name is Mateo Cifuentes, and I'm going to talk about John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams was born in Green Hill, Michigan in 1767. He watched the Battle of Bunker Hill from the top of Penn's Hill above the family farm. The old ways of choosing a president were giving ways in 1824 before for a popular choice. In 1802, he was elected to the United States. In 1848, he collapsed on the floor of the House from a stroke and was carried to the speaker room, where 2 days later he died. He was buried where his father, mother, and wife at the First Baptist Church in to this day on, old man Olson had fought for what he considered right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camila Gracia, and I will be saying the story about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States of America. Abraham was born February 12, 1809 in Hardin County, Kentucky. In 1858, Lincoln ran against Stephen A. Douglas in Center. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln became President of the United States. Lincoln was not an abolitionist, but he believed no more slave states should be added to the Union. White Southerners thought Lincoln would use his petition as president to end slavery everywhere. And on a Good Friday, April 14, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater in Washington by John Wilkes Booth, an actor who somehow thought he was helping the South.
Hi, my name is Jose Alanis. I'm going to read some facts to you about Harry S. Truman, the 33rd President. Harry S. Truman was the 33rd President of the United States of America. He served from 1945 through 1953. As president, Truman was born in Lamar, Missouri in 1884. He grew up in Independence and for 12 years old prospered as a Missouri farmer. Truman kept the war a limited one rather than risk a major conflict with China and perhaps Russia. Deciding not to run again, he retired to independence at age 88. He died December 26, 1972, after a stubborn fight for life. I am Sebastian Quintanilla. This is my essay on John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was the 34th President of the United States. He was born on May 29, 1917, in Brooklyn, Massachusetts. His mother's name was Rose and his father's was Joseph. Together they had 9 children. Joseph Kennedy was convinced that one day one of his children would be President of the United States. As a child, John was nicknamed Jack, but later in his life he was called by the initials JFK. John went to private schools. He wasn't a very good student, but he had lots of friends. In 1936, John entered Harvard University, and he graduated with honors in 1940. John served in the United States Navy during World War II. He was given a Medal for Bravery. In 1946, Kennedy ran for a seat in the United States House of Representatives and won. He was re-elected in 1948 and again in 1950. In 1952, John Kennedy ran for the United States Senate and won. In 1951, John Kennedy met Jacqueline Bouvier. She worked for a newspaper. They dated for a while and were married on September 12, 1953. They had 2 children, John Jr. and Caroline Kennedy. On November 8, 1960, in a close vote, John F. Kennedy was elected President of the United States. He was the youngest man and the first Roman Catholic ever elected President. On November 22, 1963, President Kennedy and Jacqueline went to Dallas, Texas, and were greeted by a parade. They rode in an open car, waving to large crowds of people. As they rode through the parade, shots were fired. The crowds panicked, and the next thing people knew, the president has been killed. Lee Harvey Oswald was accused of killing the president and was arrested 2 days later. He was shot and killed by Jack Ruby. President John F. Kennedy was one of the most Americans' most loved presidents. When he died, the hope and promise of a brighter future seemed to die with him. This concludes my essay, and I leave you with these famous words that President Kennedy spoke in the presidential speech. My fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask you what you can do for your country. This was the open car John F. Kennedy was shot in. As you can see, JFK assassination. These are the famous words he said before he was shot. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. This is where they went through, and this is where he was shot. This is where the killer shot John F. Kennedy. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested and was committed the killer of John F. Kennedy. Jack Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald 2 days later. And that concludes my pictures. Thank you.
My name is Edward Hernandez. I'm going to read to you about Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th president. Lyndon B. Johnson was born on August 26, 1908, in Central Texas. He attended Southwest Texas State Teachers College, now known as Texas State University,
San Marcos. He was married to Cleta Ladybird Taylor in 1934. He served as a lieutenant commander in the Navy during World War II. He was elected vice president to John F. Kennedy in 1960. Johnson became president on November 22, 1963, when Kennedy was assassinated.
Hi, I'm Alexis Hinojosa, and this is
Abigail Grajera.
we'll be doing a report on Richard M. Nixon.
Richard M. Nixon was the 37th President of the United States.
During his presidency, Nixon ended American fighting in Vietnam and improving relations with the USSR and China.
Due to the Watergate scandal, Nixon had to resign.
Richard Nixon died on April 22nd, 1994.
There you go.
Thank you.
My name is Annette Hernandez. George W. Bush was the 41st President of the United States. George Bush brought to the White House a dedication to direct them towards making the United States a kinder and gentle nation. Like his father, Prescott Bush, who was elected a senator from Connecticut in 1952. George became interested in public services and politics. Thank you.
My name is Samara Perez. William J. Clinton was the 42nd president. During the administration of William Jefferson Clinton, the U.S. endured more peace and economic well-being than at any time in its history. He was the first Democratic president since Franklin D. Roosevelt to win a second term. President Clinton was born William Jefferson Blythe on August 9, 1994. In Hope, Alaska, 3 months after his father died in a traffic accident.
I'm Enrique Chavero with some important and interesting facts about George W. Bush. George W. Bush was the 43rd President of the United States. On September 11, 2001, in which nearly 3,000 Americans were killed, transformed George W. Bush into a wartime president. The attacks put on hold many of Bush's hopes and plans, and Bush's father, George Bush, the 41st president, declared that his son faced the greatest challenge of any president since Abraham Lincoln.
Hi, I am Bernardo Pendleton, and I will be talking about Barack Obama. Obama is the 44th President of the United States. He was born on August 4th, 1961. With a father from Kenya and a mother from Kansas, President Obama was born in Hawaii. He went to attend law school, where he became the first African American president of the Harvard Law Review in the Illinois state. He passed the first major ethics reform in 25 years. On November 4th, 2006, he was elected president. He now has a wife and kids. His daughters Maya and Sasha and his wife Michelle Obama.